Hey everybody, welcome to Grimm's Forge Gaming. Today we are going to cover my Kratos build. I've been working really hard on this build trying to find a sweet spot for it, and I want it to be something that's different. So on a stamina DK, can you run Fury and New Moon? Absolutely, and you'll push crazy numbers, but there are 5,000 videos on YouTube that'll show you a Fury New Moon build. This is something different here today. So let's jump into the build and check it out. We are, just to confirm with you guys, we are in no CP right now. So the stats you're going to see are exactly what you would have for BGs, okay? Or if you're down in no CP's Imperial City, or I guess if you're running around no CP Cyrodiil. So jumping into the build here, so we had to run with Mighty Chudans. If I get it, when I get a chance, I'm going to change these Chudan to impenetrable. But as of right now, we don't have enough transmute crystals to do that, so we've got a lot of builds in the work. But anyways, we'll eventually get those switched over. But there's a reason we're running Mighty Chudans, and when we get to the ability bar and you start looking at that, we're short. A couple reasons. A, we're short on space on our ability bar, and B, we're very Magicka dependent on this build for some heals and buffs, and getting our hardened armor up was just another one of those abilities that was draining our Magicka. And so I made this switch, and I've been having a lot of success. Just earlier today I was running around in the sewers, and I think I went 5-0 in all the encounters. And one of the encounters there was 2 sorcerers and a StamDK, so there was 2 of us, and the guy I was with was a 40,000 health tank, and so he did the best he could, but at the end of it, it was just me versus the 3, and this build held up really well. I was just very impressed with the sustain, the heals, and everything. So anyways, when I made this switch, my Magicka consumption became a lot more manageable, and so Mighty Chudans. Plus, you can't really beat the one-piece armor bonus, and then the 2-piece max health that comes in handy. The second set we are running is Unchained Aggressor, and if you're going to build a Kratos build, I think that you definitely need to incorporate some type of Spartan rage. That's what Kratos is known for, and he definitely has this major berserk to him when you push him too far, and so this build just kind of fits perfect. And I tell you what, it's pretty scary also when we start looking at the weapon damage that we can push on the build and what we can do. And when we break free, and for that next 6 seconds we have major berserk, that's when you do your ultimate. That's when you do your take flight, and you're going to see some huge numbers. And so anyways, Unchained Aggressor fit our Kratos build really well, and so we are running 2 heavy, and then we're going to run 5 medium. The second set that we paired this with is the Titanborn set. And so when you come down and you look at Titanborn, we get some physical penetration, that's great. We get some weapon damage, that's great. And we get some max stam, that's good as well. And then when you start getting into the 5-piece, this 5-piece starts stacking up. The more damage that Kratos takes, the stronger he gets, or the more damage he can turn out. And I thought that that kind of fits the theme as well. Let's run Unchained Aggressor. If somebody bursts on me and then or CCs me and bursts on me, the second I break free from it, we're going to do a whole lot of damage right back. And so it's been a lot of fun, actually. And if you've never seen the animation from Unchained Aggressor, it is exactly like when Kratos hits his Spartan rage. Like his arms start glowing, and he just, you know, hulks out. And so it's just a lot of fun. It fit the theme really well. And you definitely feel powerful when you do a break free and this is up, and you're around 50, 75, 50% health. With this set, you're going to be doing some serious damage. But anyways, when we look at this set, at 100% health, we gain an extra 106 weapon damage, and we get an extra 1200 physical penetration. That's great. And those bonuses are on top of our 2 and 3 piece, okay? So they're added to that. Now, as we take more damage and we fall under 75% health, we're going to gain more weapon damage and more pen. And then at 50% health, we cap out. And so this armor set at 50% health, this armor set by itself gives you 6,222 penetration and 548 weapon damage. Okay, and that's the 5-piece bonus plus the 2 and 3-piece bonuses together. So the more health you are missing, the stronger you get, and just synergizes so well with what I was trying to do with this build, running Unchained Aggressor. So anyways, like I said, we're running 5 medium, so that way we can get the medium passive, so we can push more weapon damage. And we'll look at it here in a second, but this when we are at 50% health and Titanborn is procced, we're going to be at 4,551 weapon damage. If we trigger our weapon glyph on the back bar, we can get up over 5,056 weapon damage. So this is a 5,000 weapon damage build as long as you keep your weapon damage glyph from your back bar procced, and you're you're maintaining staying buffed. So really good weapon damage from this for sure. Also, when we start looking at the abilities, the build is very friendly on stamina, as far as, because we're running 2 dots that we basically apply them. One of them applies major fracture, and the other one just has a damage over time that keeps adding in damage. And then the other ability is a new one to me, but I'm very impressed with the outcome from it. But anyways, this build, if we were to change some things around, so I am running infused on the jewelry, right on the neck piece. I might want to run these 2 infused. Now if I do that, I'll lose 1600 stamina, and when you look at the stats, we'll go through, I could probably afford to lose 1600 stamina when we're looking at no CP and BGs. I've run some builds as low as 22,000 stamina. So if I want to run these infused, I will gain an extra 200 weapon damage from that. Okay. And right now the Mundus Stone that I'm running is the Serpent, I believe, that will give me more stamina. Yeah, running the Serpent. So it's going to give me more stamina recovery. So if you were to change to the Warrior, you're going to gain another 200, 250. So that means that this build has the potential, just as is, the build has the potential to hit 6,300 weapon damage, just under that. Okay. So that's pretty impressive. Another thing too, so I was trying to do this. I did have Balors on here, and if you were to save your ultimate, so let's say I'm running around the sewers and somebody CCs me and then bursts me, and I get down below 50% health, and then I turn around and break free and ult them. Not only is that ult going to hit them with major berserk, so 25% extra damage, and so in CP my leap is 23k, so add 25% damage on top of that 23k leap. That's going to be a pretty big leap, but the way Balors works, it would proc twice that in weapon damage. So if you saved up 500 ultimate and you used a 500 ultimate leap, you now have an extra 1,000 weapon damage for the next 10 seconds or something like that, and that's when you're going to be trying to finish them off if they're still there. So Balors was a fun set that I think synergized with Unchained Aggressor and Titanborn, but because like I said, because of the abilities and the magic consumption that this the way I'm running this, I was much more durable by switching to Chudans and being able to drop the armor buff off of my bar. So anyways, you could gain more weapon damage by this, and you could also gain more by infusing these. You'll get basically 100 weapon damage per, and you could gain more weapon damage by switching your Mundus to the Warrior, about 200, 250. So my main bar is dual wield, And this has been where I've been having the problem, trying to find a way to run dual wield. So yes, there is spin to win, but how do I, against the good players, how do I compete on a dual wield bar? Like, what's my primary spammable? I don't want to be a dot build. There's builds out there that are just doing ridiculously high healing, and dot builds right now are not getting it done. Okay, so I just want to use my dots as added pressure. Like against, I ran into 3 sorcerers today, and my dots were able to continually pressure their shields while my primary spammable was actually cutting through them and putting damage into them, and that's how I got them. But so we are running dual wield on my primary bar, and our main hand is Nirnhoned and our offhand is sharpened. And so if you look at the total amount of penetration that Titanborn can give you, not counting your base penetration, but what Titanborn can give you, and then which was 6,222 penetration, and then you add penetration from your sharpened offhand, you know, you're going to be at like 7,500 penetration just between this and Titanborn. So penetration's no problem on this build. You can see also we're running a poison. I noticed that this poison really helped out with pressuring sorcerers and their shields, but also gave me some healing over time. And so I'm a really big fan of this poison, Drain Health Poison. Drains health from your target, dealing 1,266 poison damage to your target and restoring the same amount over 4.5 seconds. And it's got a 10-second cooldown. You can pretty much keep this on the target regularly. So, and then like I said, we're running Nirnhoned on our back bar, and we're using the weapon damage glyph. I could run infused and that'll squeeze out an extra 100 weapon damage there. That might be a change, but I also noticed that if the bar is Nirnhoned, the weapon's Nirnhoned, that you're throwing out heals on, you're going to get some really high, ridiculously high numbers. And so I started Nirnhoning my back bar and definitely have seen a difference. So I would say, before we jump into the abilities, the biggest problem with figuring out how to run dual wield, I have some clips. I was running Magicka because the Magicka kind of fit the Kratos theme with the whip and everything, flame and chains. It looked like Kratos, but Magicka is so unsustainable right now. It's just not fun for me to try and figure out, to try and manage healing myself and putting burst into people. And Molten Whip hits super hard, but you have to play the little mini game to get your whip to hit hard. And right now, upfront damage, direct damage is the name of the game, and I don't want to play as much games as possible. I want to be able to just go. Let's start putting damage into people. So let's look at our stats buffed up here real quick, and then we're going to actually look at Alright, so real quickly, weapon damage 4,090, and like I said, Titanborn procs will get up to 4,500, and then we can get over 5k on that with our back bar. You can see our regens aren't bad at all, and our resistances aren't bad at all. We're a medium armor build, and we're in no CP, we're at 28k spell resistance, 25k physical resistance. My crit resistance is a little low, but that's because my monster set isn't currently set to impen, but I like to be in the 1500 to 2000 range on crit resistance. But this hasn't been a huge problem yet because the heals on this build are really impressive. I was very happy with this build as far as heals go. Sustain hasn't appeared to be an issue just yet, even with this low of stamina recovery. Like I said, it's because when you see the abilities, we're applying 2 dots that apply pressure, plus our poisons apply pressure, and then our primary spammable's cheap and hits hard. And so I was really happy with that. Our weapon crit's on the low at 17.5. I think it goes up. Let's look here real quick again. Stays at 17.5 in no CP. But anyways, that's really not that big of an issue. And so that's it. We've got 64 points into stamina, and you can see we're running the Serpent, and we are using food-wise the Bewitched Sugar Skulls. We like those max stats, and we need it for sure. We definitely need the max stats in health, stamina, and magicka, and the health regen is great. So that makes us feel a little bit more tanky. Let's look at the abilities here real quick. We are unbuffed currently. Here's my primary bar here, my dual wield bar, and Crushing Weapon has been a pleasant surprise for me. I've actually seen Crushing Weapon crit, so I'm hitting someone with a light attack. It hits them for 3k or 4k on the light attack, or 6k, whatever the light attack's landing for, and then I saw a 16k Crushing Weapon crit. There's 20k damage right there with just our primary spammable. I was like, whoa, okay, that's pretty nice. Now, it's a little funky figuring out how to program that. Like, there's a load time, and then you light attack, load time, light attack, load time, light attack. And so once you get that rotation down, it gets a little easier for you. But anyways, looking at this unbuffed here real quick, and then we'll buff up. But that's my primary spammable, and if you look at it, it heals you for 25% of the damage, or we can get it as high as, just by hitting this, we can get it to heal us for up to 31% of the damage. And so 31% of the damage, just so you know, on a 16k crit is 4,960 heal from that ability. So my primary spammable has the potential to heal me for 5k. And I've actually seen it heal me regularly for anywhere between 2 and 4k. My primary spammable is healing me for 2 to 4k. This weapon, or this ability, is a game changer for me on how I play a dual wield StamDK, and it's really made the Kratos build come together. Spin to win, whirling blades. This is my execute, and this is my lot of damage. And so if I get CC'd, I break free, and I'm at half health, and I hit him with a leap. You can bet I'm going to start spinning to win, and this thing hits hard. And so I've seen it hit mobs for 45k. But earlier today I was finishing people off with that combo I just told you about, and just chopping through people. And so this is our execute, and this is also my added pressure. If I get a chance, I'd like to do this, because 2,000 stamina on this one, and if I miss the light attack, it returns half of it. Such a great spammable if you can figure out how to use it properly. Okay, this is such a great spammable for some builds. I don't say you give this up over Dizzy Swing if you're a two-hander, but as far as dual wield goes, I was just very happy with this. Anyways, we are running Noxious Breath, and Noxious Breath applies Major Fracture, and it does our dot on the target. So that's kind of the play. I want to make sure I get this on them, and then we're going to go into our Crushing Weapon rotation if we can. We'll CC them right off the bat and try and put additional pressure into them. If I get the jump on them, actually, we will initiate the fight with the back bar, our two-hander, and I'll show you that. I'm leveling Cauterize right now. Cauterize was another difference maker for me. I tried running without it, and the heal on it is just simply too good. You need this, and the cost on it at 2,100, you can't beat that. And so this was the play for sure that changed a lot of things for me, was adding Cauterize. Now, occasionally it's important to note that if you're in a group with somebody and they're running low on health, the heal might not hit you, it'll go to someone else. But I've seen this crit heal for 7k. Yeah, 7k. Back-to-back 7ks is just silly, for that type of cost. And so a crit heal 7k on it. Now, normally you might be in the 3 to 4 or 5k range. We'll buff up and we'll actually see what that's hitting for here in no CP. And we're running Take Flight. It's the heavier hitter out of the two leaps. The other one gives you a damage shield, so if you need to The other morph will give you a little bit better learning curve to the build with the damage shield, so you could actually stay in fights longer with that one. But this one is the let's get them out of there, let's get rid of people as quick as we can. This hits super hard. Like I said, when I buff up in CP, I'll get this to 22, 23k. We'll buff up here and see what it looks like in no CP. Let's switch to our back bar here. And like we were talking, when we initiate with our two-hander, if we get an opportunity to initiate with our two-hander, I'll do a heavy attack right into a venomous claw. Has a little upfront damage and it does damage over time, and then the poison seeps into the target and deals increased damage the longer it lasts, dealing up to 20% more damage every 2 seconds. And so it lasts for 14 seconds. So this ends up doing a lot of damage to the target. Moving on, we're running fragmented shield. So the damage shield on this is really tiny. It's not really worth that, but I want the major mending from this. Okay, so that 25% extra healing is important. And the problem I was having on the build was I could be super bursty. I could run different builds, but I didn't have adequate heals coming in. Sorry, I'm fighting a cold here. And so fragmented shield actually made a huge difference for me getting that major mending. We are running Green Dragon's Blood. There's a lot of positives for this. Draw your Draconic Blood to heal for 33% of your missing health. And I've actually seen this almost completely fill my health. It didn't just heal for 33%. Now maybe some other things went off all simultaneously. I don't doubt that, but all I recall was hitting this and I was almost at full health, and I was like, okay, I'm pretty impressed with that. But anyways, the other part of it is your major fortitude, major endurance, minor vitality, and increase your health recovery and stamina recovery by 20%, and your healing received. So this thing is just full of bonuses, just great stuff to stay in the fight. It comes at a cost. If you look, 4,300 magicka for this, and these end up being our huge magicka consumers right here, and that's why I was saying we needed actual magicka, a heavy supply of magicka to do that. But the other one too is this is a low cost, but our CC is 4k as well. And so we're running fossilized. I think I might have skipped over this, but we're running fossilized because it applies both a hard CC and a soft CC. So it stuns them, and then after they break free of the stun, they have to turn around and break free again from the root. And this is a great CC. It accomplishes both my hard and soft CC in one ability. So, and going back to the back bar, we're running Resolving Vigor, we've got 13k tooltip, and we're running Molten Armaments. I like that heavy attack, gain 50% additional damage, and the duration on this. So this is another magicka, heavy magicka, heavy magicka, heavy magicka. Heavy magicka. You can see we're a stamina build, and we've got 4 abilities that cost over 4k magicka. And that's kind of the root of the problem with magic DKs right now. Like, when your buffs cost that much, how in the heck are you supposed to put any amount of damage into people and sustain? And so this is why magic DK is not in a good spot. Anyways, not to break off on a tangent about that, but anyways, I like Molten Armaments and I like the duration. 36 seconds is great. Our back bar, our defensive ultimate, we're running Corrosive Armor, and if we're in a really bad situation, outnumbered situation, there are times where I'll use this to stay in the fight longer, to go into heavy attack mode to start getting resources back. And so I think that this is important as a back bar ultimate to have. So that is the abilities. Let's buff up here real quick. Through, so you can see Crushing Weapon here in no CP will hit for 6,600, 5520 here, Noxious Breath 5,500, and then a 10k dot on top of that. And our leap here, let's make sure, yeah, we are buffed up. Our leap here is going to hit for just under 15k, and we've got 3,500 up front and then 13,000 poison damage coming in from that, and then our heals here, 15k on our vigor. So And that is the ability, that's the build right now. I've been having a lot of fun with that. Let's look at, like I said, we're running Bewitched Sugar Skulls, and right now we're running the Serpent. You could change that to the Warrior if you wanted to squeeze out more weapon damage out of the build. But it's been a lot of fun to play as and kind of role play. We're going to switch over to CP right now so you can see the CP stats, and we'll go through the CP points if you do CP Imperial City and CP Sewers. So alright, we are here in Imperial City CP, so you just to confirm there, and we're going to buff up and show you the stats for the build here, and then we're going to go through our passives. They'll be the same no matter where you're at. So looking at the build here in CP, our stats are better. And you can see our resistances, spell resistance just under 33,000, our physical resistance just under 30,000, and you know, our health is just under 29,000, 31,000 on our max stam. And we are going to look at the abilities here real quick. Hang on one second. Alright, so we got a 9403 on our crushing weapon, 78, 8,000 on our whirling blades, 8,000 on our poison breath, and then another 13. And then our leap is at 21,000. We hit our weapon damage on our back bar, and if we're at 50% health, like I said, we'll get this up to 23,000 on our leap, our take flight. And our heal here, I'm still leveling Cauterize. That's actually why it's on this front bar, and I might just very well leave it there, because when you're just killing trash mobs, it's basically the only heal you need. And it's easy on the Magicka, but you can see that while we're still leveling, it says 5100 on that heal, and I think that probably goes up if we... Yeah, 5800 on that. And we'll see what it does CP here. 9 crit was 3800 there, almost there was a 5800 crit. So that's really nice in CP. I can't complain about that type of heal coming in every 2 seconds at all. That's a great heal. And so anyways, if that crits while your major mending is on, you'll see 7k heals on that. Let's see, let's go into our passives real quick. Obviously for your class passives, pick everything up in all your class passives. And then in dual wield, I only have one dual wield ability, but I did pick up all the passives for that. And I'm short on sky shards. I leveled this guy up in PvP. I didn't do dungeons, I didn't do anything, and so I definitely am short on sky shards. But when you go to the two-hander, you're going to want to get... the only one I think that you won't need, because I'm not actually running any two-hander abilities, the only one that you won't need is this one. But you'll want to get these two, and you'll want to get these two. They'll help with the damage for you for sure. So work in motion, and here we go. We are medium armor, like we said, so you'll want all the medium armor bonuses, and then for the heavy armor, because we are running 2 heavy, you'll only need the top 3. We are not a werewolf or a vampire on this build, and we do have crushing weapon, and I do have the passives from the Sigic Order line, which is nice because when you're on your dual wield bar and you hold block, you get a 6k damage shield, so that kind of takes the edge off of some of the incoming damage for sure. So another nice thing too is every time you proc this, if this is your primary spammable and you're weaving this on somebody, not only are you hitting them really hard and healing from it, but every time you proc it, you're going to get a spell orb, and the spell orbs, after 5 of them, are going to deal an extra 4,300, and that'll go up a little bit, but so you get some extra damage just by making that your primary spammable too, so that's pretty cool. let's see. We are a Nord, and so when you look at this, we get some max health here and cold resistance, max stam here, and stalwart. When we take damage, we gain ultimate, so that's great. And then rugged passive, and this is why Nord right now is, when you look at our resistances, they're so high, and that's because of the rugged passive. That's almost 4k spell resistance. Let's jump into our CP points. We're going to look at those real quick. And we've got nothing in the apprentice here. Then when you go over to the Atronach, we've got 60 and mastered arms. All of our damage done with direct damage. So all of our biggest hitting attacks, our primary spammables consider direct damage, and our whirling blades, our execute is considered direct damage. Take flight is considered direct damage as well. And so also, 60 is my soft cap. I don't like to go over 60 because of diminishing returns or diminishing gains. You'll be able to spread your points out much better just to go from here. And as an example of a perfect example of this is, if I wanted to get this to, like right now, you see my Master at Arms is increased by 20.98%. The max on this is 25%. If I wanted to get this to 25%, I'd have to put another 40 points in here just to get that next extra 4%. You know, 40 points is not worth 4%. Okay, so about 60 is when I stop going. There are a couple of my builds where I'll go over that, but we do have a 25 in the physical weapon expert, so my heavy attacks and light attacks hit harder, and I might actually invest a little bit more into that. We'll see. I do have a little bit into Thaumaturge, so that way our damage over time effects are hitting 11% harder. A little bit of pressure there is good. Critical damage, when we do crit, we want it to hit harder, so and it'll hit almost 21% harder. Piercing, we have more physical penetration here. We're looking at almost another 3,400 physical penetration just by putting that 40 into there, and then we've got 60 into Mighty. So the red tree is where I differ from other builds. I put 60 into Ironclad because all of the biggest hitting abilities in the game, like your direct damage attacks that are really going to chunk life off of you, are usually fall in the direct damage. Okay, even like your subterranean or shocks, it's an area of effect, but it's direct damage because it's a burst, all upfront damage. There's no dot to it. So 60 points in Ironclad, 60 points in a spell shield for added spell resistance, and that's why my resistances are higher because of that. Also, I'm medium armor focused, so I've got more physical resistance, 4,400 there and 4,400 there. That's what makes us beefy on top of our Nord passive. So that's why our passives are almost, our resistances are almost 8,000 more than what they should be. So coming over here, now normally what you'll see is people like to put 60, 60 here, Hardy, Elemental Defender, but I noticed I like the actual raw stats themselves. I always run the armor focus, whatever I'm running, and spell shield. I want higher base resistances, and I wasn't worried about getting this Unchained passive. Now you would think that that would fit the Kratos build well, and it does, but because when you break free, the cost of your next stamina ability within 5 seconds is reduced by 80%. The next ability when you break free is probably going to be a Vigor or some type of heals coming in, but I could afford that usually, so I wasn't really worried about that. 80% is a good cut, but with this build, when I break free, I'm more worried about, let's put some damage into them. I might be able to finish them off. Quick recovery for added heals coming in. Warlord, we are going to be CC'd and we will have to break free from it, so we got 60 into that. And we got 60 into Mooncalf, 60 into Arcanist, 15 into Tenacity, and 15 into Spell Ward, and 60 into Tubbling. I don't like the block on this. I wouldn't say this is a... If you were running Magicka, you can block cast your entire Magicka arsenal and burn your stamina doing that. but I'm more tumbling oriented on this guy. So, and that is the CP. So sorry about the cold that I'm fighting here, but you got to see CP, no CP. We showed you the gear, we went over the stats buffed, we went over the abilities, and you got to see the abilities buffed both in CP and no CP. You saw our food, you saw our Mundus, and we talked about what changes that I would make. Like if you want to go Belores and run an even more aggressive build, you can. Um, I do not have minor Berserk on this build. If you wanted to run Slime Craw, you could do that as well. That would be great. Um, and if you want to infuse both these jewelry, you'll be able to squeeze out an extra 200 weapon damage there. And if you want to switch your Mundus Stone to the Warrior, you can get an extra 200, 250 weapon damage there as well. So, 5k weapon damage capable, that's a fun build right there. And you get Major Berserk whenever you break free from a CC, and you're very dangerous in that moment, especially if you're missing any type of health because of Titanborn. Really fun build. I can't wait to get the BG footage out there for you guys. Thanks. Have a good day.